I hope you had a good weekend. Hi, everybody. I'm Jeremy Cordo. Peter Clayton is here. The Court of Public Opinion is in session. This program sort of evolves. I'll just give you the latest. We are now podcasting on various platforms, or in other words, wherever you get your favourite podcast from, the podcast store nearest you. I'm still trying to learn the language, but it was said to me, look, the sound isn't very good. Well, Pete and I never noticed that because we hadn't used the microphone. We've just used the microphone on this lovely Canon camera, which I got at auction some time ago. But it's a nice one. It's a EOS 5D Mark III. Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah. It's a lovely camera. But anyway, we should have now, with the new microphone, better sound. I hope it is. Wherever you are. Happy birthday if you're having a birthday, or happy wedding anniversary. The moving picture projector was patented. So the movie camera would have been pretty useless without the movie projector, I would imagine. 1895 was the year. Joseph Banks, 1743, English botanist and naturalist who accompanied James Cook on board the Endeavour, was born in London, 1743. Oh, I don't know what it is, I can't tell you verbatim, but the longest sentence ever published by at least the New York Times, anyway, 1981, one sentence, 1,286 words. I don't know. Why comes to mind? The Marquis de Sade, arrested without charge, imprisoned in 1777, the guy who gave the world sadism, as in sadists. 2002, Waylon Jennings, the man who gave up his seat on that flight that took the life of Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper. He gave up his seat, lived on till he was 64, American singer and guitarist. I'm a rambling man. He died of diabetic complications, but he was 64 in 2002. The last original Peanuts comic strip appeared in newspapers one day after Charles M. Schulz dies, and that was in 2000. First appearance of cholera in London in 1832. Was that all about Typhoid Mary and all of that? And the nursery rhymes like ring around Rosie, or anyway, it's another story. Kim Novak, American actress. She was in Vertigo, Of Human Bondage, born in Chicago, Illinois. Beautiful looking woman. 1933. Harrison Ford, involved in a near miss while flying a plane at John Wayne Airport in Orange County. That was in 2017. It's a funny thing, isn't it? When your time's up, your time's up. Now, Waylon Jennings could have said, no, I'm not going to give up my seat on that plane. I'm not going to take the bus. And, of course, Harrison Ford went on past 2017. Peter Gabriel, English rock vocalist and composer, 1950, born in Surrey, England. Allied planes begin bombing Dresden, a firestorm which resulted in over 22,000 people dying. And it was still regarded, it's regarded by many people even to today as a crime against humanity. And I'm not even sure why exactly the Allies wanted to bomb Dresden into oblivion. But they did. Apparently it was a very beautiful city. It's a beautiful, well, they've rebuilt it, clearly. What else can I tell you? Stockard Channing, American actress. She was in Grease, Big Bus, Without a Trace, born in New York. Stockard Channing. You ever heard of Stockard Channing? It's a great name, though.
Well, I think I remember.
Anyway, she was born in 1944. Dutch exotic dancer. Oh, yes. Mata Hari is arrested in Paris on suspicion that she was a German spy. Suspicion? I think it was pretty conclusive, although she batted for both sides, didn't she? Mata Hari? Oh, and Andrew Sharp Peacock. It's his birthday, 1937. No, I'm sorry, 1939. Andrew Sharp Peacock, AC, GCL, born on this day in 1939. He died April 16, 2021. Leader of the opposition from 1983 to 1985 and 89 to 1990. Best Prime Minister we never had, some people say. I agree with that. A man-eating tiger is reported to have killed 48 people close by to New Delhi. 1970. Be careful of man-eating tigers. And 2008, Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd makes an historic apology to Indigenous people, especially the stolen generation who suffered forced child removal and assimilation. I must do a whole program on the stolen generation, because I really don't see, mind you, white children are taken away, black children are taken away, and many people say that problems will be horrific in the future as children are no longer allowed to be taken from their families, even if those families are putting those children in clear and present danger. What are the authorities to do? What is left for them to do? Nature is cruel and violent, isn't it? And unpredictable. Now, 25,000 and counting, 25,000 people dead in Turkey. Shoddy building practices. You know, they even have there an earthquake tax. Yeah, an earthquake tax that they have been charging for some years. That should be investigated. And also the people who authorised a lot of these buildings to be built in the first place, the older parts of town, not so badly affected. NORAD. Now, we normally hear about NORAD, N-O-R-A-D, around Christmas Eve, because one of their jobs is to track Father Christmas and his sleigh on Christmas Eve. But on the weekend, they announced that they had found a third UFO, this time over Canada. Now, they identified the balloon as just simply a balloon. These others, they're a lot more coy about, pardon me, just describing them as UFOs. Anyway, all three of them have reportedly been shot down by a Raptor F-22 fighter jet. That was the one that we here in Australia planned to buy, but we were told we couldn't because it was too top secret. We weren't allowed to buy it. Hence we bought the F-35, which is called, pardon me, the Flying Brick. It doesn't sound particularly aerodynamic, does it? The Flying Brick. Anyway, I hope that top secret aeroplane had the sense to take some pictures of that latest UFO, because the word is that the pilot couldn't establish any means of propulsion. This thing about the size of a car, in other words, just what was keeping it up there. Extraordinary. And speaking of being coy, the Americans, and NORAD of course, are very coy about anything involving UFOs. You know, they just denied the existence of. And in fact, I think you'd have to be fairly brave to sort of come out there and say, I saw one, because you'd be kind of ridiculed. Well, this is the first time, I think, in my 60-odd years of journalism that I have ever seen authorities talking about, openly, about a UFO, particularly one that they claim to have shot down. I think more interesting stuff to come, ladies and gentlemen. It was fun watching Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer, ducking and weaving questions on inflation when he was on the Insiders yesterday morning. I don't know if you saw it. It doesn't matter how this guy spins it. One of the biggest, if not the biggest contributor to the inflationary problems we have is the cost of energy. Electricity. The government was telling us that the cost of electricity would be up 56% this year. Now they're saying it'll be 23%. We're only sort of slightly less dead. The key question that wasn't asked on the Insiders yesterday morning was, and it should have been asked, to what extent does your government's manic pursuit of renewables and hatred of coal contributed to the burden being borne by the Australian people? That's the financial burden. Well, and oh, by the way, don't mention the war, because if he'd asked the question, I'm quite sure Jim would have come back with, oh, well, it's the war in Ukraine, which is a whole lot of rubbish. Australia is totally independent with regard to cheap energy. Oh, for some smart journalists. And it's important to remember that energy prices, that's the cost of energy, feeds into absolutely everything, which of course feeds into inflation. And all of the speculation about Philip Lowe at the Reserve Bank and whether he'll be offered another term, why? He's just doing his job. He's trying to fight inflation using the only tool that's available to him, and that's interest rates. Pardon me. I don't know why I'm coughing. John, thank you for your comment. John says, one problem that the wonderful referendum question that Joan asked. Oh, yes. Would you please add age? It's not just race or religion. The worst discrimination is age, John says. And you're right, John, you're right. I didn't think of that, but I'll go back and read it again, and age will be added to it. I wonder if I can find it quickly, because it really is worth... Here it is. This is the referendum question that Joan thought would be a really good one to ask either now or at some time in the future. Do you agree that all Australians, regardless of their colour or their race or their ethnicity or religion, and John, age, everyone should be treated equally in every way and in every respect? No one should receive a benefit or advantage over anyone else based on race. Why don't we run that up the flagpole, Joan asks. Yes. Yeah, well, look, I agree with you. We might make this a short episode today because I don't know if my voice is going to hold out. The death of Burt Bacharach at 94. I wanted to talk to you about that. He died peacefully in his sleep. I spoke to him in all of my years only once, but he was very forthcoming about interviews and interviewers. He was very available. A delightful man. A career that spanned 70 years, 6 Grammys, 3 Oscars. He was responsible for the soundtrack of a generation in many ways. More hits and memories than you and I could probably even dream of. Alfie, yes. That would have been one of the first. Anyone who had a heart. 24 Hours from Tulsa. Pete, who did 24 Hours from Tulsa? Gene Pitney. Yes, yes. This Guy's in Love with You. Now that was an interesting one because that song was written by Hal David and Burt Bacharach, and it was given to Herb Alpert, who wasn't a singer. He was a trumpet player. But by God, it was a good song, and even though he sort of talked it through, or, as I say, he wasn't a singer, not famous for a singer, but gee, the two things, his voice and that song, were just absolute magic. This Guy's in Love with You. Do you remember that? Great song. The Look of Love. Do you know the way to San Jose? What the world needs now is love. I don't care who you are or where you are over the years, Burt Bacharach's music probably changed your life. I think it changed my life. And that's not to take anything away from his partner of 70 years, Hal David. And by partner, I mean, you've got to be careful when you use the word partner these days. His musical partner, because, you know, Burt was married, I don't know, 4 times. Some beautiful women, Angie Dickinson being among them. Anyway, he died peacefully in his sleep. Bless you, sir, and thank you for all those wonderful, wonderful songs. I see the ABC is attacking Gina Reinhardt for giving the Liberal Party $150,000. Perspective, please? A little perspective. You know, she'd probably spend that much on a dinner party. And she would give 5 times that to various Aboriginal causes every year. Not that you'd ever get credit for it, particularly not from the ABC. The ABC didn't mention the trade union movement, and I reported that to you because all of this comes from the Electoral Commission's report on political donations that came out last week, about the middle of the week. The trade union movement, which pays itself no tax, of course, gave almost $40 million, or gives annually, regularly, $40 million a year to the Labour Party. I don't know that the ABC either reported that or made very much of it. We talked about it in the court of public opinion, but then again I think you'd expect us to. Then you've got, of course, the casino industry. They gave $9 million in political donations. There's the mining industry, clearly, the casinos, registered clubs and hotels. They all give money, millions and millions of dollars, in fact. Do they give that money without expecting anything in return? If a politician accepts a political donation from anyone, I can't help but believe, whether it's proclaimed or not, I can't help but believe that he or she, the politician, is not compromised in some way. That's a bit worrying. 90 million scam texts. Could you get your mind around that? 90 million scam texts have been intercepted by the authorities in the last 12 months. You look at your telephone or pick up your iPad at your peril. Can't really open anything with any degree of safety or security. It's hard to even take a phone call from somebody who says he is so-and-so without being skeptical or questioning. Ladies and gentlemen, for today we will leave that there. Thank you very much. And if you've been viewing us on Facebook, or indeed, I guess, on YouTube, where we are, or any of the iPad platforms, thank you for joining us, and I hope you will tomorrow. Jeremy Cordeaux and Peter Clayton, the Court of Public Opinion. Believe in yourself, and goodbye for now.